Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Warrior Academy podcast. Today we have a very special and exciting guest on the show who is actually a product of the Warrior Academy system itself. So a very unique individual in terms of instructors and students. So Josh here has been a member with us for about 12 years now, and represents a really, really unique insight into all sides of the Warrior Academy. So today we're going to be learning about his experience. Today we're going to be understanding what it's like to be a student and then make that transition all the way through to instructor and being part of the team. Thank you very much, Josh, for coming and joining us today.
No worries.
I appreciate that I've taken time out of your day as an instructor to come and speak to us, but I feel like that this is a really important subject for us to have. The reason being is that whilst on other episodes of the podcast we've had experts in their fields come in and talk to us, we've even had other instructors come in and talk to us, but they've been instructors that have come from other martial arts clubs, have grown up in different parts of the world, you know, although we both have grown up in technically different parts of the world because we're here in our Dubai-based character development center. But you, as I've said before, have a really, really unique insight into the Warrior Academy because you've lived it, you've breathed it, and you've been through every single possible transition that there is. Unlike someone like myself that studied martial arts for a very long time and then came into the Warrior Academy and learned from it from one aspect of it, you're now sort of relearning that journey. So I'm really excited to hear about this. I know that we've spoken briefly about it, and I know that Sebastian has said this, and I've spoken to your dad and other things like that, but I've never really heard it from your perspective. So, today I want to talk about how you started in the Warrior Academy, your journey that went through, and then obviously, the transition period that you made from earning your black belt with Warrior Academy and, moving over to Dubai and becoming a full-time instructor with us. So let's start off with, as far back as you can remember, possibly, hopefully, your very first day at Warrior Academy, because I imagine that you probably would have been taught by Seb as well. So tell us more about that.
All right, so I'll start even before that because I can remember. So as a child, when I was about 5, 6, I had really immense confidence issues. I was very much an introvert. I bottled myself up all the time, and I always had this long hair. And when I had this long hair, as you can imagine, back in those schools, I was being called a girl, I was being bullied for having long hair. I'm not a guy, I'm never going to be a man or anything like this. And over time, it really got to me and just made me go into my shell even more. Obviously, I told my parents, I don't want to go to school anymore. I don't want to go to school, and I want to get rid of my hair. And eventually, one day, Seb came in to Freshford school and just to give a talk about martial arts, and he used to talk about how martial arts can increase your confidence, it can help you be able to defend yourself, it can teach you the discipline, great concentration. So by hearing all this, I kind of was like, I want to give it a try. My parents split up with the idea as well. They were like, yeah, let's give it a try as well. My friends joined it, so Jacob and Matty, if they're watching this, hello. They also did it. I had my first session. It was in Freshman Memorial Hall, so we went over there, and I met Seb, again, and he was a very intense individual. Very first session, he was drilling us like crazy. He was getting us to do all these techniques. By this time, the white belt combination didn't even exist. It wasn't even a.
So what were you being taught? Let me go back even. How old were you?
I was like 6
years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so very much the same sort of age as a vast majority of our juniors over here.
Yeah.
And what sort of things were you doing in that class?
So We did sitting stance. So if you don't know, that is where your legs to the side, you put your hands, you're into a fist by your side, and then you here, and it builds up power. And you shout the numbers back when he says the numbers back. And we did single and double. I remember we did some fitness. So he was making us do like push-ups and squat jumps and all this kind of stuff, and trying to get us to do technique immediately. And then we did some combinations. Like he was just putting moves together at this point, I think. But I was learning, and I really enjoyed the first session. And I was like, I really enjoyed it. But in that first session, I didn't feel my confidence. I didn't feel it targeted my confidence. But I obviously wanted to go again, so I tried it again, and I went again and again, and then and this is where the syllabus started to come together a bit more. And then Seb started having like combinations. He started, making syllabus like leadership and all this kind of stuff. And that was the day where we got to the first leadership test. And I was told by Seb I was going to come to the front of the class, stand on the stage, and talk to all these students about a thing I was going to make them do. And I needed to make sure I was loud and proud, and eye contact. I struggled with eye contact a lot, so I was told I needed to, do this and make sure it was done. So I came up I was quite a nervous wreck. I was pretty much shaking. I was one of the kids where when they're like excited or nervous, my arms would like flap like wings. So I was basically like a chicken. I was flapping up and down, crazy. And then obviously Seb just looked at me and was just like, think you're teaching, me, or so don't worry about the people that look at something else. And he was just and he helped me with doing the signs. He was putting his hands behind your back, and he was telling me Shariat, Kenyay, saying Shariat Kenyay was a difficulty. A different language. But then I did it, and then when I got through that bit, and I was told I could teach anything I like, it kind of, I don't know, flowed a bit more, because I was like, I've got freedom. So I taught them, sitting stance. I think the first thing I ever did was sitting stance, and I started off quiet, and then Seb was like, louder, no one can hear you. I want to be able to hear you at the back of the room. So he stood at the back of this hall, and he was just stood there looking at me, saying, louder, be louder. So then eventually I started to raise my voice a bit more, and I got through the entire thing, and then I even closed it on my own. And when I finished, I got a round of applause, and I felt proud that I went up and did just that, even though that was like it seems like a very basic thing, but to me that was a huge step. And I can understand, for people with confidence issues like me, that is a huge step, just going up and speaking. So after that's where I was like, no, I want to do this more. I found Seb a very fascinating person. I looked up to Seb for ages. Like I was full on like, oh my god, Seb's so cool. I want to have a black belt like him. I want to be like that. So I kept training with Seb, and then the syllabus. I watched the syllabus unfold. More and more combinations came in. White belt came along, yellow tag, yellow belt. All these different combinations all come along, and we started learning them.
How long was it between starting up as a brand new student to doing that first confidence or leadership test?
I would say it was maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, 2 months before. I think Seb already had what he wanted planned. I think he already knew what he wanted to do with it. He already was making it all up, and it was just coming to the stage where it was all happening, all unfolding.
And do you think you would have been able to have done that prior to joining the Warrior Academy? So it sounds like a pretty big test, right? I mean, I know we have our leadership things here, but it's certainly not up on a stage in front of everybody else. I mean, that's really magnifying it, right? So prior to joining the Warrior Academy and being part of that community, do you feel like that would have been something that you would have been able to do before?
I don't feel it would. I didn't feel I was getting any better without the Warrior Academy. I felt like I was getting worse. Like even the teachers did stop the bullying, but I still had, it was like a thought in the back of my mind constantly, always that, the people are still judging you, just lay low as it was, stay to yourself. And I don't think without obviously being pushed by the Warrior Academy, because immediately I was pushed out of my comfort zone by Seb, because he would make me do, all these different exercises I've never done before, and all this stuff, and he'd tell me, no, you can do it, and all this kind of stuff. And it just, that little boost made me over time, little by little, really helped my confidence, that leadership test. And again, having Seb just saying basically like he was there, he was just, you know, he's like, you're not on your own. I'm here. You know, I'm still doing it with you, but you know, I'm just stepping back a bit. And it just from there, it really helped. Like, don't get me wrong, at this point, I still huge confidence issues, but I still felt so proud just to be able to come up and talk to people like that. And I noticed I was able to speak to more people in like the group, like new people I could speak to a bit, you know, more than I would used to. And I feel like, yeah, without, you know, working, I don't think I would have the confidence, especially as going through the years, which I will talk about in a minute, but like going through the years and how it again evolved even through that. But yeah, no, without Warwick Academy, I don't think I would have had the confidence to do any of this.
So I mean, it sounds like that, you know, that there was a pretty immediate impact with these sorts of things. You know, as a 6-year-old being asked to do something quite out of their comfort zone, right? I mean, I don't honestly know many 6-year-olds that would be particularly comfortable getting up on stage and giving a presentation and things like that, right? So, you know, that sounds like a pretty radical change quite quickly.
I would agree with that bit, but at the same time, I think I like to split confidence into two things. So there's confidence is in like just being able to like speak and all this like, you know, being able to stand in front of the stage. And then there's the other one, self-confidence. And that confidence one's got solved a lot quicker. The self-confidence issue still was, you know, not obviously completely changed just immediately, because I had, again, huge self-confidence issues. Like, obviously, I was like, I'm not good enough. You know, I'm rubbish. I'm not, you know, I can't do this. What am I doing here? This kind of stuff, you know, I can't win this, or, you know, you know, there's people, this person's probably should do it because they're better, you know, this kind of thing, like, just really, like, negative impact on, like, pushing myself down a lot. So the confidence, I think, got solved a bit quicker. Like, that one, like, being able to speak to people. But, like, the self-confidence, that took a lot longer, and that was not till like later. And even now, I would still say I have self-confidence issues. I still, even as a, you know, a martial arts instructor, I still have points where I'm like, no, I'm not good enough. I still have that, like competitions, for example. No, I don't want to do competitions. Still, no, I'm not good enough for that. That kind of stuff is still here now. It's got a lot better, like a huge amount better. Like, again, I would be here.
Yeah, of course.
If not for that, but
you know, and we'll talk about that bit in a minute. But obviously, you know, making the jump from the UK, you know, we go through different layers of our comfort zone, right? Like what might have seemed like something that was really, really out of our comfort zone 10 years ago is, you know, not even worth thinking about these days, and you always push to the next one. And you know, I remember when you came over from the UK, you know, you were sort of having to draw on all of your you know, training, all of your confidence and things like that to be able to sort of even, you know, stand up here. And you know, I think it's really important that our audience understands that, you know, confidence is not something to be solved. It's something to be constantly be worked on. You know, whilst one person might look really, really confident doing one thing, they might have very little confidence in doing something else. And, you know, the transition that you had to make from coming from the countryside in the UK where life moves very slowly to, you know, the hustle and bustle of a city literally the other side of the world, you know, is a huge jump outside of your comfort zone, and you know, you still have to you know, keep working on it. So it's really important for our members, for our audience to understand that, you know, we're still just human beings at the end of the day. You know, whilst we look like, you know, big, strong, confident guys and ladies in, you know, in our dough box, and we run the gym, we run the dojo, and, you know, do all these sorts of things, you know, we still have to work on ourselves every single day as well. You know, it's not just we wake up in the morning, we're like, right, confidence score at 100, let's go. You know, sometimes there's days when you wake up and you think, oh, could I have done that better? Or, oh, is there another way that I could have done this thing? Or perhaps I gave the wrong reaction to this individual, you know? So confidence is definitely something that we all have to work on a regular basis, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, sorry, continue.
So as well as this, I thought it would be nice to mention the Character Development Centre didn't exist.
Yes.
There was at this point, there was no like centre like that we have in Dubai. It was Seb would go to halls, as you know, sir, and rent them out, and doing like clubs in there, and then it just grew quite a bit there, and then obviously, as you know the story, he went to Dubai and then made it there as well. But at this point, obviously, the Character Development Centre didn't really exist. And we were going to all these halls. You had to drive to all these different halls, and so eventually, it took, I would say, a bit longer to go for the next to even get my yellow tag than in here, because I feel that when it was that time, Seb like really took his time with each single aspect of the thing. Like he would do it multiple times. Stripes didn't exist. You didn't get stripes on your belt. They didn't exist. And it took a lot longer to get for that grading. And then obviously one day Seb told me and the rest of the group, "Oh, guys, you are doing a grading today. Your parents are going to come in. They're going to watch what you do." You know.
So you got no warning.
No.
It was just grading.
He did do I remember he did do a pre-grading.
Yeah.
But he didn't say it was a pre-grading.
Right.
So he did like all the practice. He was like practicing this, practice that, do all that, do that. And then obviously next week he was like, "Right, grading this week. You know, parents coming in. Yep." And then parents sat in the back, and that was it. I was like, oh my days. My parents sat in the back of the room, first time they've ever seen me doing martial arts. I'm there like, oh my, I'm nervous. And that, that adrenaline, fight or flight response comes in, and I'm just like, oh my days. And again, but Seb knows me, and he could see, and he looked at me and was just like, you got this, you got it. So then I did it, smashed all the way through, because I knew it all. I didn't know it, that's the thing. Seb didn't put us through for the grading, he didn't know he could do it. Of course, he pushed us and made it seem like we didn't know, but he didn't know. He made us know. Made sure we knew it. And then it got to that leadership bit again. And this time, when I came up, I had that, that feeling of, oh no, my parents are here now, and it made it much harder. But this time, for some reason, I remembered again. I just remembered, obviously, what Seb said to me before. He said, I've got this. And I remember then obviously being able to go there and doing that leadership test, and I've been able, practiced it quite a bit already before the grading, and then I was able to do it almost with no help from Seb. So that time it was just crazy. And then obviously I did it. I went to my parents, and immediately my self-confidence issues come in and go, oh, I didn't pass. I didn't do it. No, I didn't do good enough. And obviously went back next week, because you have to wait, the same here, to wait a week. Went back and then, sat down, Seb's talking to us, oh, how well we did in grading, the belts are all laid out. And then he's like, oh, and he says my name for a belt, and I'm there like, what? I'm getting a yellow tag, what? I'm getting in my first belt, I stand up, I walk over, and, I get my belt, and I'm like, what? I feel I think it's such parents, I don't know if they understand how much of an achievement it is for a student to get their first belt. Like they're earning just that yellow tag, how it feels to just earn that belt. For me, that was one of the best moments of my life, just earning a yellow tag, the second belt, and it felt like so good, and I got it, and I was just like, whoa. Again, I was like, I can do it. I did that, and this bit now I'm a yellow tag. So
it's kind of like the ignition.
It was like, that bit was when I was like, it was more like, because at the moment I was like, I want to do it, but I'm still like, a bit like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then when I got the yellow tag, I was like, no, I want to commit. This can help me. I believed in myself that this can help me. I can do it.
Personal validation.
Yeah, I was like, it can do this, and I'll stick to it to the end. As I said, I looked at Seb and I want to be like Seb. I want to be like this. Just absolute crazy man who just comes in with his black belt and can do all this amazing kicks super high, and I'm there like, whoa,
We're talking about looking up to Seb.
Yeah.
Okay, and this really is part of the grand plan, and I don't know whether or not this had already been formulated. The warrior method of community, inspire, challenge, lead, right? Certainly we can see that all of those things were already in place. Again, I don't know how structured it was back then, but immediately we've looked at the community that Seb has created, and him as an individual. Yeah. He inspired you by doing what he did.
Yeah.
And I think that that's incredibly important for people to understand what we do here. We're not just teaching martial arts, right? We're inspiring the next generation to come through. We're doing our very best to create an incredible, supportive, positive community, and people like you who share your story and talk about the challenges that you had growing up. They're the same as many others, right?
Yeah.
And for you to say, I looked up to Seb because he inspired me, and then, you know, the students that we have here, they're doing the same thing. They're looking up to you as an individual. You know, they look up to me, they look up to Master Fedi, they look up to Master Charlie, they look up to, you know, all the other instructors that we have here as well. And it's incredibly important for people to understand that the inspiration is part of that journey, and that also their parents are responsible for being the inspiration for them as well.
Yeah.
Right? We don't realize how much of an impact we have on younger people. It's almost like we forget, you know, like we forget how much we were impacted when we were younger. And so, you know, when we grow up and we become adults, we forget the impact that inspiration has on young people, and what we say and do and how we present ourselves makes a huge impression on them. So, you know, I think that's a really important, powerful thing for us to note is that, you know, Seb, by being there, by believing in you, by pushing you, by challenging you, became the inspiration for you to not only continue on with the Warrior Academy, but go and get your black belt and then go and do some, quite frankly, frightening things. You know, there are many other people that I knew that I grew up with that have not even left their hometown. You know, whereas I went off traveling the world on my own and doing some pretty scary things to other people. But for me, it was just sort of part of my own experience and my own journey. And, you know, yes, I did some fun things, but it was also quite scary being on the other side of the world completely on your own and, you know, having to, you know, do adult things like get a job and, you know, wash your own clothes and make sure that you can pay your rent and things like that, you know. So it's really, really scary stuff.
Yeah.
So and it all starts from having that inspiration, like, you know, Sebastian and like yourself here. So, I mean, tell us a little bit more about the process that you went through. I mean, obviously, you know, that first spark, the ignition, the yellow tag. Talk about, you know, tell us about how things progressed from there.
So from yellow tag, it was, you know, things obviously as you get in a belt, they get a bit more intense. But it was kind of similar progress, you know, progress. It kept going through. It's not as, you know, it's when I just remember Seb obviously still teaching. He's, you know, the company's getting bigger, more people are joining. But the process has all been the same. I remember the syllabus coming into a bit more. You know, it was like growing, but in terms of, you know, key events, it wasn't, you know, huge until I got to like blue tag. When I got to blue tag, Seb was still teaching me, but by this point of blue tag, I felt a bit like. I hit a wall. I feel like I didn't feel like, for example, I was looking at other people and I was like, they're more technically advanced than me. Why am I not, you know, what am I not doing than they're doing? You know, I was a bit, so I feel like I wasn't progressing. If it makes sense, I feel like I, you know, hit a wall, and then I still enjoyed it, but I started to, I don't know, say like drop off a bit. But I kept coming, kept going, and I kept trying, and then, you know. As I said, I think this was Seb. I think it was still Seb. Yeah, Seb. Then I talked to Seb about it. Finally, you know, I think Seb noticed, and then Seb talked to me about it, and he started to tell me, you know, how important it is to, you know, keep practicing, even, you know, at home, even, you know, before we go to bed, maybe, you know, all this kind of stuff. And he's just telling me that, you know, some people go at different rates, and that's, you know, the fact that I was like, oh yeah, you know, people do go at different rates. It kind of helped me just like kept going, kept pushing through it, this slight brick wall. And by this point I still was highly excitable. I was still full on like flapping my arms and stuff. I'd focus sometimes would just go. You know, I'd be like the class clown, as you know some students here can be, you know, that are trying to make everybody laugh. And obviously Seb being the, you know, sort of, he would make sure, put in the bud, give me the fitness forfeit and this kind of stuff like that, you know, and he you know, and then you know, he was like, he did, you know, said to me like, you know, if you know, keep put the effort into your martial arts, your techniques, than you do to being the clown, you know, your progression will go much quicker because you're, you know, wasting some of your energy just trying to be, you know, different, as you know, trying to stand out, you know, trying to make people laugh, because, you know, that was my way of like making people know they like, trying to get people to like me. It's like a coping mechanism, because I was trying to go, oh yeah, they're laughing, you know, they'll be my friend, they'll like me, you know. But I do, you know, I kind of lost the martial art bit from that, and obviously after that it kind of, all right, okay, you know, opened my eyes again. And, you know, my mum talked to me. It was like, you know, you need to, you know, keep going. You're doing so well. Do different. You know, the difference between now and then is huge. You know, you're doing so well. Just keep it going. You know, and from that, obviously, I kind of snapped out of it a bit, and I kept pushing. And then I got that chance to go for that blue belt grading, where, you know, that was like Seb was saying, oh, it's going to be the hardest grading, you know, you've done. And I was like, all right, okay. And in this grading, it was just to go from blue tag to blue belt. It was like a different Seb. Like, he was no longer. It's still like the person I admire, but he's like a switch. Like, he changed like differently to just really like boom, boom, boom. It was like almost like even more professional, if you know what I mean. Like, trying to get to our technique way better. Like, you knowing that now it's like no more messing around time. You know, you know, you want this technique, you want this next belt. You know, you're getting through it now. You need to really like push your technique. So that grading, I did that, and again, getting the blue belt when I was told I was now, you know, a senior advanced student now, was huge as well. That was like, you know, I felt like I pushed through a wall, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I now have a blue belt. So, you know, I felt really proud of myself for being able to get that belt. And by this point, it was getting quite big now. And one day, Seb brought a new instructor in. And you will know this person as Instructor Matt. And he came in, and I was like so bewildered, like, who's this person? Who's this? You know, what's he doing here? You know, why is he here? You know, what's he? You know, what? You know, and I was like, and he started teaching us, because he was obviously doing a trial like teach. But me still being quite young, we didn't all really understand what this was. We didn't understand that this was like the growth of the business at this point. The fact that now Seb is getting bigger and he needs another instructor to come help him. So at this point, I was like, well, you know, why is he teaching? Why is Seb not teaching? And Seb's just stood at obviously there, he's still watching, making sure Matt's doing his job. But me being, kind of a naughty boy I was, decided to be a bit of a joker again and be funny. And then Matt, literally, on his like trial, he was like, Josh, you know, stop that. Full on, just made me stop. I was like, okay, you know, Matt, you know, Matt knows how he is, you know, was like, stop that. So I was like, okay. You know, I stopped, and then Matt, again, he was amazing. He was really another great like inspiration. Like, and what Matt did was, he was a great trial. He was a really good trial. It taught us another side of martial art, because Matt also has Muay Thai experience as well. So he came in and he was a different style of martial art. It was different like teaching style, and I was like, this guy's really amazing as well. Like, and he loved fitness, and I actually by this point actually did enjoy fitness. So Matt would always have this thing, it's like, oh, you know, fake it till you make it. You know, he, you know, smile when you do fitness. If you smile when you do it, you know, you enjoy it. So he really like enjoyed doing the fitness, enjoyed the techniques, and really kept pushing it. And then this is where Seb then kind of transitioned. He was a bit gone. And this was when Matt decided to take over my training from blue belt onwards. And I can't, as bad as it is to argue, I would say Matt might even have more of an impact than Seb did on me, because this point when I was a blue belt, the self-confidence issues had grown, because this is where I was now growing into secondary school. And then in secondary school, it was all big. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? All this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my days. I think it's secondary school. And it just, you know, it was, again, I felt I wasn't intelligent enough. I felt I was, you know, out of my depth. And it just kind of all, you know, transpired. But I kept going to martial arts. By this time I was training 2-3 times a week. 2-3 times a week, each time with Matt. And, you know, Matt, as I said, you know, bless on him, he dealt with me a lot, I'm going to be honest. Like, now I understand, you know, being an instructor, I understand you have some of those kids that, you know, you have to give a bit of attention to. And Matt did that with me so much. You know, I'm going to be honest, I still was a troublemaker. I can't deny I wasn't. You know, I was trying to be funny. I still tried to do all this stuff. And bless Matt, he'd always, you know, Matt, you know, Josh, it's not this. You know, do this. Do you want the next belt? You need to do this. You know, all this kind of stuff. And I just, these years there's so much happened in these few years though with Matt though, because I just remember him teaching me all these different sparring techniques, doing all these, you know, different combinations, you know, getting it's just so much things that I didn't remember Matt. I can't remember them all, but he just was there every inch of the way, and he just always was there, someone I could talk to. It felt, you know, every single start of class, he would bow to me. You know, a black belt's bowing down to me. I mean, someone Seb did this as well, and then even, you know, he would even shake my hand. He was even, you know, and he would really start, you know, getting to know me. And I, you know, trained with Matt for at least, I think I must have been trained for at least 6 years, probably, which maybe even longer. But each time I went to class, it was just, I really enjoyed coming just to see Matt, you know, learn stuff from him as well, because he really pushed me. Like he really, this is where he started to get advanced technique. He was like, no, you need to kick higher, do this on the drill, come up with these things at home, do all this, you know, and it just kept going on and on. And this is where it went through, and then advanced gradings happened. The first advanced grading from blue belt to red tag, you know, 3-4 hours of just martial art, and I bearing in mind, you know, the most I normally do is an hour per, like every day, not every day, but 3 times a week, you know. So, and this was like 4 hours in, you know, one day, and I was doing all, and it was such a shock, but at the same time, like splitting up all the techniques into individuals, like opened a new, I would say, like, avenue, like, you know, no longer doing it like, jab, cross, front kick. It would now be doing jabs and jabs and crosses, and, you know, and it was, then you learn all these other like new kicks, like jumping backside kicks and all this kind of stuff, and like where it was still about character development, but now it felt like that they were using the martial arts to even, you know, to improve the character development even more now, because they had like this building step, you know, this you know, this base to go off of already from the huge character development is from the younger years, and then they used the martial arts to, like, you know, really send, I know, for the advanced guys, because when you're advanced, you're a bit like, you're like, oh no, I know all this, I know this is easy, I did this at white belt, but it like really used the martial arts to progress me along in that direction. So yeah, I kept going to, you know, red tags, went through to red tag. Red tag was again a much bigger, harder step again. You know, kicks were now doing all these kicks. This kick combination came along, and we were all just like, what are we doing? You know, you know, what the hell is this, and kind of stuff. And again, this for some reason these bits are less memorable. But I just remember getting more confident, more self-confidence for each bit going through. Feeling my martial arts skill definitely improve. You know, getting much better, much more forward. Being able to feel I can ask for help from others with it, you know, being able to ask for help, and, you know, gain that, you know, respect from other students as well, because I felt that I did already feel that new people coming in were already looking up to me as a, you know, the red tag, one of the red tags in the room. Still, you know, still with Matt and in developing my style of martial arts in my own way, helping me rather than just like copying Seb and him, like allowing me to find my own like style. Like that's what happens with like students and every person. You find your own style of like fighting, your own martial arts style, and it just really helped progress me along there. And sparring though, I still hated. I hate sparring. I really don't like sparring. Even now, I still go sparring. You know,
which is funny, right? Because you ended up winning the Ultimate Warrior contest in the UK, in the UK three separate times.
3 separate times, yeah.
Right.
But so I was. I don't want to obviously sound like cocky, but I was always quite good at sparring. Like, you know, techniques and stuff. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't always the best at. Like, you know, like inline work, making everything look really nice. I was always like, you know, too fluid, not like fluid is bad, but being like still trying to make it like an actual fight, like sparring fight, you know, trying to be like not stopping the technique like where it needs to stop, you know, still making it too fluid. And, you know, Matt would make us do loads of sparring. Matt loves sparring as well, he loves it. So he'd make us do loads of sparring, and again, he was telling me, you're amazing, you're really good, you need why not doing competitions? And I'm there like, no, I don't want to do any competitions, I don't want to do this. You know, I don't want to go to any. I don't like sparring. I would tell him I don't like sparring. But he'd keep obviously making me do it, and obviously he'd keep improving my techniques. Like when I was doing the sparring, I obviously would listen. That's fair. I'd still do it. It's not like I would get the sparring kit on and go, I'm not doing it. You know, and sit there. I'd do what he told me to do. Like I'd do all these drills. You know, all these like easy counter drills. All these drills. I'd do them all and I'd listen. But when I was there like I don't like sparring kit. In my mind, I'm there like, why am I here? What am I doing? You know, I'd still be there thinking, what am I doing? But this all came along. Then I had my very first competition that I was basically tricked into doing. All right, I got tricked into doing it. This was before the Winter Warrior even existed. So this is the first, like, all it was is he just got students basically in a hall. There was only a few of them, and I got tricked into doing it by, I think, Matt and my parents, to be fair. I got tricked into doing it. I did it, and I was doing really well. I got to second round. I went against, I got to the finals. I don't know how I got there. I was just I don't remember it. I just got there. When I got to there, I had like a moment where I shut off. I kind of was like, it's like my nerves got the better of me and I stopped doing anything. I just kind of stood there as a punching bag. And I just stood there. I was shocked. I can't remember what happened, but it's like the fear and failing, I think, hit me. And I was like, what am I doing? I stopped doing anything. I just kind of curled up. And that's when I just remember, obviously, Matt and some of my parents, my grandparents, like saying, snap out of it, come on, Josh. And Matt was like, go on. He was reffing the match, go on. And then I was like, all right. I went in and I started catching up on some points, but obviously I already lost too many points. And by the end I lost. And I was like, I was there and I felt really angry at myself. I was a bit like, I was there like, I've let everybody down. I've not done what I could have done. I felt annoyed at myself for doing it, and I was like, I had this thing. I was like, I'm not doing sparring again. I'm never doing it again. I hate it. I'm just going to disappoint people. And obviously after that, Matt was like, oh my God, you did so well. The guy that won came over and said, you did amazing as well. You did a great job. Parents were all happy about it. But again, for me, for some reason, I just was like set on, no, you did rubbish. You didn't deliver, as they would say. But they obviously said I did all amazing and stuff. So I stopped sparring, basically. I'd still put kit on, but I literally didn't really progress. If you know what I mean. I kind of just was doing. No, I was just doing it to go, just to get the thing. I wasn't doing new things to get through it. I was just, that'll do, and they could see that, Matt could see that, and so I got to red belt. I did get to red belt because obviously I really pushed on my techniques and my stuff. So I got to red belt. Red belt combination didn't exist at this point. Didn't exist. It didn't exist. So I was doing red belt, and then obviously halfway through it was like, oh, by the way, there's a red belt combination. And then I learned the red belt combination. It's Muay Thai based. So I was like, wow, that's super cool. And but again, at this point, I still was like, no, I don't. No, I'm there now going, I don't know if I ever should become a black belt. I'm there I don't think I have the. It's like there's not a point where I was like, I want to quit. It wasn't like I wanted to quit. It was like, I don't want to go any further. I don't think I can go any. I'm done. Red belt is too hard. I can't. Everyone else is too good at this technique stuff. I still can't get this body movement right. I can't rotate my body in the right way still. And I'm there almost like crying, basically, just knowing that I can't do certain things that they can. I'm there how are they doing to do this, and I'm still here, can't do this, and I'm there it's just red belt for me was just such a challenge to get through. And the thing is, I bottled it up. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my parents. I don't think they even know now. Till now, I struggled with red belt. Okay, I struggled so much with red belt. And Matt, I think, did know. Again, Matt knows.
And I think that's an important thing to sort of see, right? Is that on outward appearances to everybody else, you probably look like you were just sailing through.
Yeah.
Right. But the perspective from your side is that you were really struggling with it. And look, red belt is difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's one belt before black. It is a tough thing to have to get through. And many students do struggle at that sort of stage.
Yeah.
So they say it never gets any easier. You just get better.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important for people to understand that just because you've been doing it a long time doesn't mean it's any easier for anybody. And we still face the same challenges as the white belts do. The white belts might be struggling with coordination, but so might the red belts, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly, yeah. So I was struggling in silence, as it was. I was learning. I definitely was getting better, okay? But it was such a slow progress that I didn't feel I was. And I was really struggling. I was points. I was like, I might just not go to taekwondo. I don't know if I can do it. But Matt and Leighton had come. I think at this point, Leighton also. So I was training with Matt and Leighton as well. And Leighton again, he was a young, youthful guy, 21, I think at this point or something like that. And he's just there, and I'm like, whoa. You know, he's so young, and he's got his black belt, and he got his black belt this day, and he was really amazing as well, and he helped, and he was such like a calm, like, guy, you know what I mean? He was so, like, level-headed, he's funny, he could relate to this younger youth, because at the time I was, like, a teenager, and he could really relate to me, because he was still, you know, at that age, and he really, like, helped me as well. Leighton did so much for me as well, like, he made me laugh, he kept a smile on my face, he could see when I was upset, he'd let me talk to him as well. Matt also did all this. Matt was like a really caring individual. Like, it felt like I had two more like dads or friends or something like this. And then something happened that really made me like, I don't know, it was just made me like connect. It was like I started to like learn more about Matt and Leighton. Like, it didn't like I started to get to actually know them as people. Like when it was like the younger belts, I felt that I was just knowing the persona, like the instructor, like the person they be in front of me. But like when I got like red belt, they started to actually like talk to me like an adult, like a fellow, you know, martial artist, like black belt, for example. They'd like full on like tell me bits about their life. They'd be like, oh, you know, they tell like little jokes. They'd be like, oh, you know, and it felt like I got a lot closer, and I started to actually know them. And for me, that's what then suddenly, for some reason, made me go, I'm going to keep going, because I felt that, you know, they were like, as I said, friends, like a family, as what you're trying to achieve here. As I feel like you're in a family. I felt I was in a family, so I did tell Matt and Leighton I was struggling with these things, and then I told them what I was struggling with, and they even then, you know, gave me personal attention as well. They literally helped me with all these bits. They were checking on my parents, be like, oh, you know, how's he doing on this? You know, how is he progressing along with the red belt? How's he, and all this kind of stuff. So that all happened. Then. So I missed a few red belt gradings. I didn't go for them because I wasn't ready. I even said for myself I wasn't ready for some of them. And then I went for that red belt grading. And, well, actually I missed one. I missed it because I just forgot. I don't know, one time I forgot to go to a grading. I'm not even joking, that's how bad it was not a proud moment. But I generally forgot to do a grading, so I was like, oh no. So now my friends were black tags. And I was black belt, not black belt, no, red belt still. So I was like, oh no. But then, luckily for me, I told Matt, oh, look, I missed it. And then they were like, if you work really hard, obviously, then you're going to go for your black tag, like when the next one is coming up. So I did it, worked super duper hard, got my black tag. Then I was told, obviously, I wouldn't be going for the black belt for a while. So my friends were going to get black belt before me, and I was heartbroken because I've been with these people from white belt, by the way. Matt and Jacob, still with them, and Oscar as well, since white belt. So I got a black tag, and by the way, it's still at this point, I still didn't do a single competition since, and I still hated sparring. And then the first Winter Warrior came along. Okay, and this is when again I was kind of tricked into it again as well, but this time it was like I was told, oh no, you need to do it. You need to do it because for you to get your black stripe, you need to do a sparring. You need to do like a sparring competition. So I went to this first one, the Winter Warrior, and I competed in obviously everything. I did everything except for the Ultimate Warrior. So I went in this one. I did the point stop and continuous. I won both point stop and continuous sparring. Because again, Matt was literally giving me a prep talk before, saying, "Oh, you can do this. You know, you got all this stuff. Just remember what you learnt in classes and all this kind of stuff." So I won point stop and continuous. It came to the Ultimate Warrior, and I was like, "No, I'm going home. I'm going home." And I went home. This time I went home. So the first Winter Warrior, I went home. I didn't do the Ultimate Warrior. So that's that one. And then again, kept working on my techniques for black tag. I was pushing myself so hard because I had the slim hope that I might be able to go for the black belt grading when they go for it, but I had to work so hard because I was so far behind. So I was going, you know, as I said, 3-4 times a week now. Weapons classes involved as well, so I was doing weapons classes at this point as well. And I was just training, I was asking questions constantly. This is where I felt, I was like, no, I really need to get this because I'm a black tag level. I really want to catch up and, you know, get this, you know, black belt. So it kept going, and then about nearer when it was getting to the grading, there was another competition for I think it was the West Championships or something. No, Summer Warrior. So I went to that one as well. Again, I didn't want to, but Matt was like, no, you're going to it. You're going to it. So I went to it and so I did that, and this time I did all of it again. This time I won point stop continuous. I won ball breaking. I didn't do weapons because I didn't have a pattern I came up with, so I didn't do weapons. And then I wasn't going to do the Ultimate Warrior again, and then I sat down and Seb was there, and he came over to me and he was just like, "What? You're not doing the Ultimate Warrior?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You're doing the Ultimate Warrior. You're doing it." And he literally was like, "You're doing it." And he literally came over to them and put my name in the thing, so I was doing it. And he was like, "Get up!" And he picked me up and took me over to the Ultimate Warrior thing, sat me down. I was like, "You're doing it." And then he just so I was there like, "No, I can't say no to Seb. I generally can't. It's something I can't do." When Seb asked me to do something, I feel like I want to impress him, so I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then I did it. And I was doing it again. I had such nervous energy for anxiety for it, because I was like, oh my warrior versus everyone on my days. I was like, I can't, this is crazy. So got paired up in a few matches. The first ones weren't too bad because they were I went against a few people similar belt level, but they were okay. Then I went against someone a little one. And I was really young. I think it was a yellow tag, green tag, and I decided to, rather than. The thing, what I like to do is I really like to help people. That's something I do. I love helping people. So when I went against a person, I literally would tell them, what can you do here? If I do this, can you go around here? And I'd try and instruct them on what to do. So I'm there instructing them what to do. I'm there going, no, you can do this, no, there. And then it got to the point where I was teaching them so much that I forgot to actually tap them back. So it was a draw between me and this little, and it came to this draw, and it was next point win. So I was like, okay, all right, I need to obviously win this. So I obviously got the points, but then I got the points I needed to win, and then I let him get some points and catch up. And then eventually I won that round. And then after I went on to this last round where I went against Matty, I think, one of my best friends, and that was hard to go against one of your best friends. And Matty, by the way, is so good. He's so technically advanced. He's got such a level head, and he's amazing. Really fast as well. So he did the exact same thing to me. So it felt really good to go against him. I went against him. Just kind of round just was a blur. I don't really remember it. We did it at the end. Obviously, I hugged him because he was like, "Well done, you did amazing." And then I was told I won. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wow, okay." I was told that now is the final. I'm like, Jesus. So now I'm going against Oscar, and Oscar, if you don't know him, he is so good at sparring. He's like this. He was one of the best sparrers I know, and I was like, I always thought, no, I can't go against him because So I was there on my days. So we went against each other. We bowed. We went in. We did it. Both of us went into it. We were both. He got very competitive, but him being competitive made me competitive. It made me spark up. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it as well. So we literally had these retainer punches and all this kind of stuff, and these kicks were all great. Symbols moving back and forward. It was great competition. Really good final round. One of the it was really good. And then obviously I was like, round was over. I was like, okay, well I did my best. I was like, I felt actually I've done my best. Okay, it's okay if I don't win it. I've done my best. I felt good. We both punched each other. Both our noses were bleeding now because we punched each other a bit too hard. Because we were hitting each other, and if they hit each other hard, we hit each other back. So then obviously did the thing. Everything the room felt like it stopped. It was silence. It was just quiet, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? It took they would count points up for a bit. Matt was stood there holding both our hands, and then he if they would, and they pulled my hand up, and I was like, what? No, I couldn't believe what I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the hell was that? And I felt lightheaded, honestly. I was like, gee. And then the music, obviously, you know how it is. The music plays, and they're crazy. And then, Seb comes over and he's like, "See, I told you, didn't I? I told you, back when you were, low give out that you'd be here, and and I was right with mine and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, you were." And he literally was like, "Well done." And he gave me the trophy, and Matt and that all were there, and all the other black belts came in and supported me as well, the black tags and all this kind of stuff. And it was just it was a really amazing moment, but at the same time, I still was like, but now what do I do? I was like, I still feel like I don't like sparring. Even after that, I still didn't like it. I still was like, I hate the thought of going to sparring. And And then obviously after that was the training, just training continuously for the black belt. And I obviously pushed so hard. As I said, I was training with everyone. I was literally battering Matt and Leighton. I was like, look, let's just come on, teach me what you know, please. All this kind of stuff. What do I need to do? What do I need to prove on? And at this point, this is where like the clowning for me stopped, because Matt was like, right, for your black belt, you need to stop clowning around. You need to stop, like, trying to. I wasn't that bad, but you need to stop. Be fully focused. As you only have one warning in the grading. You need to basically buck my ideas up, as it was. So at that point, I was like, oh, I do need to do that. So I managed to. So I stopped myself. So that's why I'm now not. I don't do that anymore. Like I don't do that in classes anymore. I'm now super focused and really listen. That's where the focus was really solved for me, because it happened over a gracious period. It was all getting better, but it's just the reality check that Matt was like, you won't get your black belt if you don't fix this and this. And so I did all this and I kept fixing it. And then it got to the day where Matt was telling everyone who was going for their black belt grading, and I'm there, fingers crossed, like, please. Gets all the names and then gets to me at last and he goes, yes, you're going. And I'm like, I was like, yes. I felt so good, like all my hard work finally paid off for me to be able to go to it. But bearing in mind, this process for me going from white belt to black belt, 7 years of hard work. So it's all happened, and I obviously kept training for the black belt. The black belt grading came along the rise, and the black belt grading was when I was most nervous I've ever been. Most nervous I've probably ever been, even like more than probably exams.
Yeah.
Like I was so nervous. I got into this room, all these black tags. It was only black tags in this room, all of them. Some people I haven't even seen before because I'm from other dojos coming here. It was a very intense grading. Seb was that literally personally came back just to do that grading.
Yeah.
And he came and did the grading, and it was tough. So obviously every technique combination all the way from white belt to black belt, as you know, like black tag, splitting it every single combination up, every techniques, and it was all crazy. Pressure testing against Seb, Matt, and Leighton. Literally having to pretty much spar Seb, which is just terrifying for me. That was terrifying. And it just the grading went through. Sparring went through. All of this got there. Then we got to fitness and bleep tests. And obviously in the bleep test, it's hard running back and forward to the bleep. And Seb was like, you're going to go to the end. Basically, you're going to go till, I decide you're finished, basically. So we kept going. Even if you missed it, you'd still make you go. Like you just the idea that just you have to keep going. Like, don't give up. Like that's the thing he wants. For the black belt, don't give up. The perseverance. So it kept going, and you had to work as a team. So if someone falls behind, you had to push and help them go forwards. And so I was also helping other people go forward that were a bit tired. So I tried my best to really just. It's the best I've ever performed. I think I just really was on focus that day, and eventually at the end, I got the black belt, and then I also got the grading award for the the grading award. Basically I got a trophy for being the best person that graded for black belt, and that was like whoa. It was shocked, and then Matt and Leighton and Seb all like, we noticed today, Josh, you're really good, you can go really far in this, you can go really far with this. So that's when I got my black belt, and that's when I was just like, wow, all this hard work, all this, journey has just been completely like, crazy, and all these things I've come across so far to just get this one belt. And I felt, and I realised in that moment it made me realise why the black belt's special, because obviously when I was there before I was like, black belt's special because it's just a really cool belt and it shows you've got loads of martial arts skill. But for me, my black belt was special because of the journey that came with it. That's why mine's special. I feel like the memories, the all this, I wouldn't say blood, sweat and tears obviously, but all the challenges, all the tasks, all the relationships, the memories, just to get this one belt. That's why, to me, a black belt is special. That's what makes a black belt special to me, is the perseverance, the goal that I've worked for to get. That's what makes the black belt special to me. And I got that, and it was just crazy. But from that, I was then obviously I was told and informed, and I already knew that you keep going, you don't stop. I knew I was going to do. I was already told this before, like black belt's basically like halfway really. It's just like saying, oh, you're basically competent at martial arts now. You now need to like develop yourself. So after that, I just continuously trained. I've trained, so 7 years took me to get my black belt. So I was in year 9. So I continued training all the way to since 19. So I must have been training for at least 5 years extra now. COVID as well hit and all this kind of stuff. So I kept training, but then we're going to go to this one bit that did happen that set me back. It was my first proper injury. So I was going for, there was another competition I did. This one I did. This was the winter. This is the one I won the Winter Warrior, and this one. So I won the Winter Warrior and I got the trophy again. But it wasn't as magical. It was pretty cool though. But the point after it is what came after. So after it, the Matt, Leighton, and Seb, I think they said they were going to go for like nationals in the UK, and they were going to pick people to go for it. So I got picked by Matt and Leighton. They both picked me. I think Seb picked me. I can't remember. But I got picked to do it, and I was like, I'm not doing nationals. I don't want to do nationals. I don't want to. No, I was head set on not doing nationals at all. But I was talked to by Matt and Leighton. Just keep talking to me and really good at basically persuading me to do things. I was persuaded by both of them, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a go, as well as my parents. So I'll give it a go. So I started really preparing for it. I started training for it. I was fighting all the black belts. I was fighting Matt, Leighton. I was sparring them continuously, just trying to get good at it. And then one day in summer, my first incident, my first actual proper accident happened. And basically what happened was I was practicing kicks. And then Sir said stop. He said freeze. So in sparring, he's freeze. He stopped, but I was already kicking. So I was mid kick, going for this guy's jumping turning kick to this guy's head. The guy stopped, put his hands down. So I was going to kick him in the head, and I tried to pull back. So I pulled back, landed wrongly, and my knee went all the way out of place. Obviously, I went back down. Normally, to be fair, I'm quite good with injuries, or getting knocked down or pain. I normally get straight back up. So Matt came over to me. He was like, "Josh, you get back up. Get back up." And then I was like, "Sir, I can't," and then he saw my knee was all the way over on my other side. So that was that was proper it's such a shock, and it installed a fear, I think, into me. Just it was such a crazy sad moment. And then the worst bit was when my mum would come in and she was like, "Oh my god!" And she would come down and I could see she was holding my hand. She was basically crying. Because she was like, "Oh my god." This has never happened to me before. She's never had to deal with me or my sister having an injury like that. And she was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be okay." And I mean, obviously, she was more worried about what's going to happen with my knee. And so I was laid there on the floor, my knee on the side. Matt was there helping me, and obviously A&E came along and they put it back in place. They full on just went smashed it back, straight back in place. Went to hospital. Had to wait in line for ages for hospital as well. So I was sat in the hospital with my knee just basically could just wobble back out straight away. Yeah. And obviously I was told that it is I was given all this and they were like, no, it's you pretty proper ripped it out, and it was such a terrible moment because they were like, it was basically dawned on me that I wasn't going to be able to do the nationals. I wasn't going to be able to do that, and it felt I let them down as well. I felt I let myself down. I've let everyone else down as well, that he was expecting me to compete, and it was a terrible moment, especially when they said I might not be able to kick properly, again, I might not be able to kick the same height. I would, my knee mobility might not be as able, and you might. Just that really upset me because I was like, no, because I had 2 sports I was good at: swimming, martial arts. That was it. And when I was told that my martial arts might not be the same again, that really made me feel really degraded. I felt really upset by this, especially when they wrapped it all in this black cast. I had to walk home on crutches. I was doing my GCSEs at this point, so that's just basically what you guys do in grade 10 and 11. And so it was just such a moment as well. I was told I wasn't going to do anything like that proper again, almost. They were like, it's there's a high chance you wouldn't be able to. But so I went home that night and I was like, I can't get upstairs. can't really get the stairs, they're steep. But obviously they helped me up the stairs. I went into bed, and then obviously next day I went straight to school. Obviously, I went to school. People are, oh my god, what have you done all my days? Because again, I kept my martial arts very secret. I didn't tell people in school or anything that I did martial arts. Like some of my closest friends, other than Matty and Jacob in secondary school, didn't know I did martial arts until like then. Where I said, oh, you know, I did martial arts, pulled it out of the socket.
Yeah. So I think we've run out of time here. So we will perhaps get you in another time to speak a little bit more about the journey. I mean, obviously, I don't really know how I can expect to get 12 years of martial arts, encapsulated into 1 hour. But we will certainly get you back on for another time. But I think that this has been a super enlightening conversation today. I certainly have learned a lot about you as an individual. I've certainly learned a lot about the program and the system and how integral the warrior method really is to that character development side of things. We haven't even gotten to the point yet where we started talking to you about coming over here and the journey that you took through that. So I think that that's definitely something that we'll cover next time. But I want to say thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Really, really insightful stuff. I really hope that our audience is going to get loads and loads out of this and realize that actually the journey that you've been on is one that their own children can be on as well, and the impact and the positivity that we can bring as an organization. We do change lives, we do help people become better versions of themselves, but obviously it's not just a linear progress. And I think that that's something that is highlighted here today. It's not always straightforward. And it's what happens when you face those challenges and the support network that you have around you to overcome those challenges. It's very easy for people to just say, no, I don't want to do this, and drop out. Especially when things start to get tough. You mentioned at blue tag level, which is exactly when many of our students start to find it tough and they start to sort of hit that wall, as it were. And it's really important for them to do the same thing that you did, which is open up and speak to people about it, reach out to your support network, and get the benefit of the experience of other people who have been through that journey themselves. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time being on here today, and hopefully we will have part 2 coming up really soon. Other than that, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please make sure you do that. You will be able to see that running across the bottom of your screen right now. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram. If you are a member of the Warrior Academy, there is the Facebook groups for both Abu Dhabi and Dubai. If you are a member in the UK, make sure that you go and check out the UK Facebook group. It's some really, really insightful stuff going on over there. You'll probably even be able to see a few pictures of a young Josh on there as well. If you haven't already followed us and you're not a member, please make sure that you go onto Facebook, check us out there, make sure you subscribe to us on Instagram, and also make sure you go ahead and take a breakthrough area assessment, okay? A really, really powerful tool that will be able to tell you your child's breakthrough areas, what areas they need the most focus on: confidence, conduct, and concentration. And again, you can take that test by clicking the link here, but they'll all be in the description below. So thank you once again. Really great to have you on here, and thanks guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.